Well, what a week of football this past weekend. We had Florida State going down in an upset to Georgia Tech. Hindsight seemed like that not that much of an upset, but and SMU and Nevada was a lot closer than I thought because I had SMU covering. But Braden, you want to get us into Florida State, Georgia Tech? What you got?
Yeah, no, that didn't surprise me really at all. I had Georgia Tech to cover, and I thought if the game went the way that it did, that they had a real chance to win that one. Um, that FSU defensive line is not what people thought it was. Not that they're bad, but they got bullied on both sides of the football. Like somebody was saying that it was going to be the best Florida State offensive line since that undefeated season when they lost to Oregon in the playoff. Well, then that's a pretty pathetic best offensive line. I mean, Georgia Tech doesn't have the best defensive line. Height's really good. They definitely are better than last year. But man, they just bullied them all over. Jamal Haynes ran all over them. Haynes King looked like a pro. Have we ever seen that out of him? Like that through a whole game?
I mean, I
I don't
points, but not against as good of a defense as Florida State has.
know.
At least,
But not for 60
other than
minutes.
the D line.
Yeah. 60 minutes was impressive out of him. So then they controlled the game. I mean, the last 21 minutes, they pretty much had the ball, except for like, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, because Florida State touched the ball once in the last 21 minutes.
Yeah. Did what they had to do.
Yeah.
But
Um,
there's not a lot to take outside of what we saw, right? No need to make end of the year conclusions. Uh,
yeah, especially with the 12 team playoff now. Like their season is not even close to being over. They should have some worries, rightfully so, especially long term, which I'll dive into.
but like if DJU connects on some of those 50-50 balls, they win that game. Those are
Yeah,
throws he can
but it's
make.
just, I mean, DJ has never really done that super consistently though.
No, but that's the thing. If he does it
He's just not there.
sometimes,
He's already hit his ceiling.
yeah. But he throws that ball 2 more yards inside, they win that game. Down that sideline. So, I don't know.
And DJ, he had his 13 of 19 completions were thrown 5 yards or less down the field. That's terrible.
Pretty much
Like
tackle right there, too.
either there's only two options. Either Georgia Tech's secondary is absolutely elite, which I don't think is true, or they're just scared to throw the ball down the field.
Georgia Tech was putting like 8 in the box.
Yeah,
And they
and
were like, beat us deep, I dare you.
and they just weren't going to do that, especially being
No.
down a wide receiver.
Yeah, that right. Why that wide receiver course is just not good. I mean, we talked about how good it could be. Lee Benson, even Saban was like, he could be really good. Did his name get called at all, except for a punt return?
Not really.
I don't remember it.
And so obviously Georgia Tech's defense was like really bad last year. If they were going to win, they had to put up like 40 points. But do you think Georgia Tech's defensive line is just that much improved, or is their O line not as good as Florida State said they were, especially internally? Because
I
they
think,
love their O line, but they just got pushed around.
yeah, I think both. I mean, that whole front four for Georgia Tech, 3 out of 4 are new, correct? I mean, you got Height from USC. And then you had like another one from like, shoot, I'm blanking now. Somewhere in the SEC as well. And then they got another defensive end for somewhere else. I mean, they're like all transfers, except for one kid they had back. It was a smaller tackle. So I don't know.
Some good news for actually great news for Georgia Tech is that Brent Key's 5-0
Biggest,
versus ranked ACC opponents.
yeah. How about that?
So I don't even know. I mean, you just pick him against ranked ACC teams until he loses.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
How many
and
of those were at home? That'd be a good stat to look up. How many of
yeah,
those were at home?
yeah, we'll get stats and info on that ASAP.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to get into Florida State like somewhat long term. So Norvell is 2-9 without Jordan Travis at quarterback, which is obviously horrible. And DJ is not even close to the quarterback that Jordan Travis was. Also,
Think
I
about those two
have
wins they got last year.
yeah, and they had to what? I mean, their defense was elite last year. They
Yeah.
had to score like if they scored like 20 points, they were fine.
Who did they play in the ACC championship game?
Louisville.
Yeah, and they killed it.
Did they get? I remember it being closer than that. I
It
remember being even
didn't.
close the whole
Yeah,
game.
but it didn't feel that close. I'll put it that
Yeah,
way. Yeah, I
yeah.
did not. I didn't
They
know
were
any
way
time.
more physical than Louisville was.
Yeah.
But so I just want to talk about Norvell's recruiting because I looked at it after the game, and it's if I was a Florida State fan, for our Florida State audience out there, this would be pretty worrisome to me. Um, Under Norvell, according to 247, and I'll throw in 2020, even though it wasn't really his class. He got hired 2019, so I put an asterisk next to it. But 2020, they finished 22nd. 2021 is first class, 23rd, and then 2022, 20th, and then 19th, and then 12th last year, which is the best they've had up to that point. Right now, they sit at 18th. That's not that's not gonna win you what you want to win. You want to win a national championship and compete at a high level every single year. But if you keep finishing that like that, it's not low. Obviously, it's top 20. That's still good. But for their standard, that's not that's not good, really.
Yeah. It almost feels like they truly are just bringing in long-term development guys out of high school and then fixing it with the portal,
Yeah.
which is fine.
But even with the portal now, like you bring in guys, you can't even rely on them getting developed because
No,
they
I
could just
mean,
dip.
yeah, you gotta hit too. So yeah,
And obviously, so they average out to 19th in the nation every year under Norvell, which isn't that great because that probably means you're getting out recruited by Florida, as bad as they are right now. I mean, I think he's been out recruited by them every year, even under uh, Mullen. He didn't give a crap about recruiting.
he did in the off recruiting season,
Yeah. Uh,
football
but
season.
but obviously they make up for what they get in transfers because
Yeah,
they started tracking transfers in 2022. So from then they finished 10th, 6th, and 7th, averages out to ninth. So obviously they do
doing
what
fine there.
really well in that area.
Yeah,
In 2023 they finished 6th, and obviously they were really good last year. Would have
yeah,
made the playoffs had Jordan Travis not been hurt. Could have won the national championship. Um, but yeah, that's just pretty worrisome to me is that he doesn't recruit well enough for me to really see them getting over the edge anytime soon. Um, it's just hard to do. Like last year, they were all in, and it was really good for them to go all in. Had Jordan Travis not got hurt, and then Miami's doing the same thing this year, going all in, bringing in all these transfer guys, whatever. Um, but long term, that's not sustainable. You just can't keep doing that all the time. You still have to build through high school.
yeah.
So that's pretty worrisome to me about Florida State. I'd be worried about that.
SMU Nevada.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird they played two quarterbacks for most of the first half. I get it though. They're both captains. Jennings still won them the American championship last year. He's a really good quarterback. He's going to stick it out, right? Because he's only a redshirt sophomore, I think. So he'll be there for the next 2 years also. Preston Stone, it's his last year. Stone kind of went Leroy Jenkins at moments, right? Just running out there. Almost, he got lucky Nevada secondary can't catch, to be honest. So, but once they quit playing two, he got more in the groove, and SMU hit their groove and looked fine. Running backs looked okay. But Nevada pushing them around and bullying them worried me a little bit. Um, Especially with Nevada not having their starting quarterback. Uh, they were banking on Chubba Purdy being the guy, and he's out. So for a backup quarterback to play that scrappy and the whole team to play that scrappy is a good testament for Nevada and their new coach. Blanking on his
Yeah,
name.
because I mean,
Choke.
Nevada's been a bottom five program for years now, and they looked competent. What? What?
A bottom five. They just haven't been that good.
Nah, they've been pretty bad.
They were 7-5 year like 4 years ago.
That was 4 years ago.
Yeah, they played in the Potato Bowl.
Yeah, but but still really bad. Um, yeah, they looked good with their new coach. They were so physical the entire game. Like you said, pushing SMU around. I still don't think, or I don't agree, like you said, with taking out Preston Stone.
Yeah, I mean, I
Because
get it.
they still went nowhere.
It's hard to
And
get in a groove like
I
that.
still don't think I don't think it was like a message to Preston Stone. He obviously sucked.
No, I think it was just.
What, he
I think it
started
was.
off like 1 for 5 with a pick.
Yeah, I
That's
think it
not
was just
good.
respect to Kevin Jennings and
Yeah.
what he did for them. I mean, the dude went 4 for 5 for like 59 yards, and then had like 30 something rush yards. Like he played well. They got to stick with Preston Stone. I mean, he's the guy, obviously. So
Yeah. And
uh,
in the end, SMU really turned it on the last 8 minutes, 2 touchdowns to seal the game. I mean, I don't know. They just showed they have more talent, better coaching. That's just,
yeah. Hey, before we end the week 0 recap, we got to shout out Montana State. I mean, one heck of a comeback. One heck of a
that was
comeback.
insane. Yeah.
SMU costing me money. I thought it was going to be Montana State. I was
Yeah.
pissed.
Florida State cost me money. So
Hey, I told you.
how about Norvell just recruit better and he won't cost me money anymore? I mean,
Told you. Hey, good weekend though. Hawaii didn't show a
great.
lot. I'll get more into that later in our locks. But yeah, what's next, Conrad?
I want to move into semi-playoff news, along with just the college football schedule in general. So our extremely good friend of the show, Ross Dellinger, reporting that the NCAA wants, and the college football committee, they want to get rid of Week 0. Not just play any football, they just want to move up the schedule
Oh,
and essentially get rid of Week 1. And Week 1 always falls on Labor Day weekend. It's always like, it's a college football holiday. But they want to move it up so they can avoid the NFL long term in the playoffs.
I get that.
Which
But
I
then
get
maybe
it,
that sets up
but
for better week 2 games, which I'm not going to be opposed to.
and I totally get that. But I mean, there's just like these people that don't give a crap about college football and are running it. They just keep taking all this little stuff away from us,
Yeah.
and
Well, some of
just
it's just
just to fill their pockets.
Yeah, it's like they were talking about how the 5 seed in this playoff sets up so well, and it's like, well, you know who did that, right? It was the old Notre Dame AD that set it up that way. That the 5 seed's going to be sitting pretty, and who's a good chance to always get the 5 seed year in and year out?
Notre Dame.
So, yeah, a lot of these people just look at what's best for my school or conference. Like Sankey, what's best for the SEC expansion? Get way more teams in and buy a seat. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and inevitably, the ratings. So they will compete with the NFL. I think in the first round of this year, they got to go against 2 NFL games.
Yeah, because I think first round when the NFL starts their Saturday
Yeah,
or like 4 p.m. and 8:30 game or something.
and so the ratings will be lower than NFL because that's just
That's how it is.
that's just how it works. I mean,
Yeah.
NFL is just a bigger product.
Assuming on
College
the
football's
matchups.
better. But depending on most people ask NFL's better.
'Cause I think the NFL matchups that one day it's like that first Saturday is like a really good NFL lineup, and so you're going to really need some first round playoff games to be like you're going to need D on there just to attract people. You know what I mean? So
And because the ratings will be lower, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, the 12 teams not working. We got to expand to 16 teams. And it's just,
yeah, that'll be their scapegoat.
and it's never, they're never going to be satisfied because
No.
whatever way you push it, you're still going to match up with the NFL at some point, and you're always going to have to schedule around the NFL. And I wish it would just like come together and where you could push college football into the NFL or you could push NFL into college football.
Yeah,
They're
they
not
need
going to
to.
do that because the people that run college football are just too
I think
stupid
that.
to do that.
I
And
think.
the NFL is honestly just probably a little too stubborn
Yeah.
and on their high horse, most
Well,
likely.
they
So I
know
just don't see that happening.
that nobody can touch them, even though college is what makes the NFL. And now
Yeah,
a little bit of Australian
yeah.
rules
Like,
football's helping
you
the
know,
NFL.
college football always caters towards NFL. You know, that's literally where they get their players from.
Yeah,
And,
I mean that's not it.
but, I mean, they'll never cater to college football. But as much as college football wants to be like the NFL in so many ways, which is infuriating, um,
Yeah, but it is what it is.
yeah, I guess
Just
so.
gotta adjust and adapt. I guess.
Yeah. So we're gonna move into just some news going around. So another report from our good friend Ross Dellinger. The NCAA is probably going to close the spring window for the transfer portal, which will be effective like this cycle, which I think is absolutely amazing because you've seen a bunch of coaches. I think the person that's been mostly on record recently is Kirby Smart, but he was like, you're going into spring, and he's just looking at his roster, and he's like, I don't know who's going to be here.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot when tampering happens too.
Yeah,
Like
and
obviously it
it's
happens in
just
the first window, but I feel like a lot of it will happen second window.
yeah, and it's
No, no,
just
no.
it's so much more fair towards coaches and teams of just like you need to know who's in and who's out after winter is over.
For
So
sure.
this is finally some good transfer portal news.
Yeah, I think they'll figure the portal out, adjust
Yeah,
themselves the next couple of years, which will be good. Again,
and I still think the window is way too big. And it
yeah,
opens at a terrible time. And I think, and you probably agree with me, is that the portal should always open after the season is over.
yeah, I would like to see it open like championships on January 20th this year. It shouldn't open until January 20th at midnight, like going into the 22nd. So
Yeah, because with
yeah,
coaches, it opens, beginning of December. You're in the middle of bowl prep. Now if you're in the playoffs, you'll be like, what, just a few days after the first round of the playoffs. So
no, I mean it
but for
opens
most
before the
teams,
playoffs
you're in the
start.
middle of bowl prep. And now and there will be players
Yeah,
throwing up the deuces to get out.
definitely.
I mean, it's
May help parity though. Is that what we want? No.
some other news. UConn is going to join the Big 12 in 2031. They're going to be joining in all sports this year, but football for whatever reason I read over. I don't remember.
What do you mean
So
for whatever reason? Football's waiting. Is that what you were saying?
yeah,
They're terrible. I
yeah,
wouldn't let them in 2031.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't let them in anyways.
They're
They're
so
they're
bad.
just always going to be bad in football. They're
I
basketball.
just
That's just how it is. There's just nothing wrong with that.
baseball and basketball. It's what they do.
Yeah,
Good
but
for them.
so UConn will go from being even more or irrelevant now to just even more irrelevant when they join the
Yeah.
Big 12 and just get
Realistically, though, it
erased
could
every
help them.
week. It could, but
It's just going
who
to take a
really
long
wants to
time.
go play football in Connecticut?
Yeah, I guess
You'll
it's true.
find very few guys. And Jim Moore, do you think Jim Moore will still be there? Are they really going to get better than Jim Moore? I'm not saying Jim Moore is amazing,
I
but
think Jim Moore is perfect for that job, but I don't know. It depends. Once you join the Big 12, that becomes a better job than an American job, you know? So, depending on where you're at. So, they could. I don't want to say no just because there's been times where we have seen UConn go okay. So, who knows?
yeah. Also, uh, 5-star quarterback, number one player in 2026, Faison Brandon, is suing the North Carolina Board of Education for not being able to profit off his NIL.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing the right thing. He could just transfer. I would
To the state of
transfer.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put in a good word for some area schools, except one of them. But
Yeah. And I don't think he would go to that specific school that you're talking about. There's just no way.
no, he's not going to leave anyways. He'll get it figured out. I mean,
Yeah.
what do we figure out? Like 11 states don't let kids profit.
12 states.
12 states.
Yeah.
So
And Tennessee is one of those states that do allow. So he's already committed to Tennessee, so he could just transfer now to Catholic. He could transfer to CAK.
Transfer
He could
anywhere
transfer
he
to
wants
Lakeway.
he doesn't even have to go private school.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it. But I think that's going to help a lot of kids stay in state too with Tennessee. Because you may see them go private school, especially with that new scholarship rule coming in 2 years, technically next year, but fully in 2. Yeah, I think that'll help the state of Tennessee, which I'm obviously biased to. But
Yeah. But, so yeah, I mean, how many times has this even happened? A player suing a state, or just the Board of Education for that? I feel like this happened once before, but I don't know.
no, because Rashada's suing the University of Florida and Billy Napier.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm mixing that up with that.
So I don't think it's actually happened to this level, but I think you'll see it in other states. It did happen. It did not happen, but in Alabama there was a kid, like the number one kid in Alabama for his class, a quarterback. He was a freshman last year, won the state championship. Can't remember his name. Was offered like $60,000. And he was like, no thanks. To move to not Texas, move somewhere and get an NIL deal. He was like, no, staying here. So we'll see. I think states will allow it soon enough.
Yeah, and hopefully it, works out for him.
And again, NIL is not going to be like college football. It's been happening for years.
Yeah, just, under the table.
Yeah.
Like Saban, you go play for Saban, you leave him with a new car. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he owns like 5 car dealerships.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that was supposed to be public information, but
Yeah.
oh well. He's retired now.
What other news we got?
Oh, Charlotte is extremely hurt. They
I hate that for Biff Poggi.
Yeah, they're down almost 50% of their starters against James Madison.
Are they out for the week or what?
Yeah, I think they're out for the week. If you watch the press conference, he just seemed absolutely defeated.
Well, hey, James Madison lost everybody to the portal, so they should.
And fully healthy Charlotte, that's a good. I mean, it probably still will be a good game, but that's just obviously not. That's not ideal going into week 1 at all, or any week, but especially week 1, where you're just trying to get guys lathered up. Immunity.
Wow. Okay. Charlotte's down some guy. What's next? Impact transfers? Is that where we're at on this thing?
Yeah.
Let's save your face, huh?
What transfers you got? Immediate impact.
I'm gonna cherry pick a little bit here. I think Dallin Hayden at Colorado. Colorado lost their starting running back last year, Dylan Edwards, right? And so,
Edwards with the Kansas State.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was his name. I think Dallin Hayden can have a big year, right? Obviously, he was buried in the depth chart at Ohio State. I was hoping he'd come here and wear orange, but it's fine. So I think there's going to be a place for him at Colorado. I think they're going to run the ball a lot, or at least use a running back a lot. And then my other one's London Humphreys, right? Georgia receiver from Vanderbilt. I think if you can be good at Vandy, you'll be good there, right? This isn't one of the receivers Vandy ran off. This is one they did not want to lose, right? Will Shepard, they kind of was like, hey, get out. We don't want you here anymore. This kid, they were like, hey, are you sure you want to leave? So, Georgia was fine losing Rara Thomas because they had this kid. So he'll have an immediate impact, which is going to be awesome. But that's it. I only got those 2. that I felt like were flying under the radar. Who are some that you have flying under the radar this year?
I mean, I don't even know if you could say these guys are necessarily flying under the radar. I think a funny one for me was Jabbar Muhammad from Washington going to Oregon. Obviously, he was Washington's best defensive back, and Oregon stole him. And that's obviously not funny if you're Washington, but, they absolutely hate each other. And Jabbar Muhammad is a really, really good corner.
Yeah.
So that's just a big pickup for Oregon, obviously. And especially because he's a good replacement for Kyrie Jackson. Rip Kyrie Jackson. And another corner, Jamar McCoy, going from Oregon State to Tennessee. Tennessee secondary has obviously been
It just gets bolstered from him.
Yeah. Tennessee secondary has been bad under Heupel every year. They've gotten better every year. But this is a pickup that they really, really needed to really just bolster that secondary.
Yeah.
And Chris Brazzell transferred from Tulane. Really likes him. Talks extremely highly of him. And he said and it could just be, he's on my team, so let me gas him up. Like he says, he's seen things from that he's never seen out of a corner.
Some of those videos in camp, those interceptions he's making are insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Another transfer, C.J. Daniels, wide receiver from Liberty. I know you hate me talking about Liberty.
No, I hate when you tell me that they have a tough schedule.
They do have a tough schedule, dude. They got, that one team that they play that's tough,
Virginia School for the Blind.
Yeah. But yeah, wide receiver, Liberty, going to LSU. I watched him for 14 games last year. Extremely good deep threat. Really good for Garrett Nussmeier. That's really just what he is.
Yeah, and that's
he's sure hands. Like he's really good 50-50, but he's a very good deep threat.
And that's a room with a lot of questions. So there's obviously an opportunity for him to do something. Kyron Lacey. Obviously those two could be the next. Jamar and my mind just go blank.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. I was like Jamar and the other guy.
Do you think that's the best? This is random, but do you think that's the best wide receiver duo in a season ever? I think it has to be. I saw that question like a week ago.
Maybe.
To be honest, I can't think of anybody else. But
I got a hot.
Jamar had 2,000 yards. JJ had like 1,700.
Yeah, again, I got a hot take on one. They just didn't put up the numbers like that because that's not what their offense does, but they were dirty. I think, I'm not going to say it because I don't want anyone to blame me for it, so I'll tell you off the air.
Okay. Maybe you can talk about it next week.
Yeah, maybe I'll gain the confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one more, Justin Jolly, tight end, UConn, going to NC State. Yeah, I wish he was in Orange too. But really, I like NC State.
They're on our schedule this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Piss on them.
That's also fair.
I'm kidding. I hope they go 11-1.
Yeah, but they won't. They'll come out the gates a little rocky, and then they'll rack off win, and then they'll go either 8-4 or 9-3. And if they go 9-3, they're losing that bowl game, and if they go 8-4, they're winning the bowl game. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a really good pickup for NC State to pair with Grayson McCall. Are you not big on Grayson McCall?
No, I am. He just went to NC State for the money, and I heard kids couldn't get in other places. Thank God he'll never hear us talk about him still.
Yeah.
Good ball player, though.
Really good.
All right.
Down here after, Jamie Chadwell left him.
Yeah. What we got now? Week 1 predictions.
Yeah, so we're going to move in to that. We're going to start with North Dakota State, Colorado. What you got?
Colorado. And I think, like I told you, I think they win big. I don't think it represents on the scoreboard, but I think when you're watching that game, it just doesn't feel close. And I normally pick North Dakota State just to pull the upset because I think it's fun. but I think Colorado gets them. I think they cover. I think they win by like 17. I think they're. I mean, they got track athletes on the outside. I mean, they're going to be good offensively. So yeah, give me Colorado by 17.
Okay.
And I think that game hits the under though, because it's at like it keeps growing. It's at like 61. So I think North Dakota State holds the ball a little bit. So yeah, I think that game hits the under.
Yeah, I got Colorado too. I mean, I just think they're gonna just out talent them. North Dakota State is still a top three FCS team and can compete with a number of FBS teams.
Yeah.
But Colorado still has one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, whether people want to believe it or not, as annoying as he can be sometimes. And they're at home, so
yeah, that's big. And something I have written down was North Dakota State might out-bully them, but Colorado's going to out-athlete them by a mile. So
yeah. And North Dakota State, they got some dudes on the line though.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. They're going to play well up front,
Yeah.
but yeah, athlete-wise, you get that ball in space, it's over.
So another one we got North Carolina, Minnesota. I'm gonna start us off. I got Minnesota. They're at home. North Carolina's quarterback situation is still up in the air. It's not like they have bad quarterbacks. You know, Max Johnson is there. I still think it'll be Max Johnson. But just going on the road week one, still figuring out your quarterback. And Minnesota is down year last year. Fleck is bound for a rebound. So I think I just got Minnesota. And I think Minnesota obviously covers because North Carolina is favored.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember that other quarterback's name. I'm blanking on it. Oh, Connor Harrell. That's right. I think that if he gets the job, I think North Carolina wins this game no matter who plays. I think Harrell adds another aspect. He can run a little better than Max Johnson. Max Johnson looks like an old man running out there, which cracks me up. So I mean, if he plays, I'll get a good laugh. Minnesota brings in New Hampshire's quarterback from last year, right? I think
Yeah.
top FCS quarterback, second in the FCS Heisman race. Cannot remember what that trophy's called right now. But yeah, I think Carolina covers because Minnesota is a 2-point favorite, 2.5, something like that.
No, North Carolina's favored.
Oh, North Carolina's favorite. Okay, I
Yeah.
had that written
Minus
down.
two.
Yeah, I think they win that game. I think that defense. I mean, I talked about it last week. That secondary, they're gonna light people up. Though. I think North Carolina gets 2 picks in this game. So yeah, Elijah Hussey's gonna have a big day. Give me the Tar Heel.
All right. So now we got Clemson and Georgia. Start us off.
That's Georgia. I think that's a good line.
I'll bleep that out for you.
Yeah, please. I mean, last I checked, this line was at 13.5. I like Clemson. They're my ACC pick. I think they're an 11-1 team. Maybe 10-2, depending on what that South Carolina game looks like. Maybe they'll rest their starters. But I like Georgia in this game. They just got too much, man. But if that
I like
line,
Georgia too.
yeah, if that defensive line comes out and they're not good, and that offensive line's not great, Clemson's defensive line will eat them up. And Clemson can run the ball. So if Clemson controls the tempo, gets a pass rush, they'll cover. I don't know if they'll win, but they'll cover. So
Yeah. And
this could realistically be. Yeah, go ahead.
I got Georgia winning, Clemson covering. It's 13.5. There's obviously going to be more Georgia fans there because they keep putting Georgia in these neutral site games in Atlanta. Why don't you take them somewhere else? Take them to Vegas.
Yeah.
It's always, Georgia's at a neutral site. Oh, let's put them in
this one should
Atlanta.
be a
How is that
home
neutral site at all? Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know. But I have a feeling this is one of those 35-14 games. It could be a 24-20 game, though, too. So I think it's somewhere in that range. But, yeah.
All right, now we got Penn State, West Virginia, at West Virginia. So I am going to go. I really do want to pick West Virginia, but I'm just gonna go with Penn State and their new offense. Maybe I'm just trusting the new offense too much, and I'm still not completely sold on Neil Brown. Yeah, I just think Penn State has just they're always gonna have a good defense, even though they did lose Manny Diaz. But I just really like their new look offense
I
and
heard
how
there's some
it's gonna
optimism after
go.
that. That they feel okay. They feel like they're in a better spot for losing Diaz. Not that they got a better upgrade, but for what they're going to have to play this year, they feel good.
Yeah, and I would still feel fine about my defense. I mean, when's the last time Penn State didn't have a really good defense?
2012, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they lost all
So
those scholarships.
yeah. So yeah, I'm still just gonna go with Penn State. They are favored by 8.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know where I stand on the spread.
You want me to pick and then you decide what you think about the spread?
Yeah.
Country roads take me home. I got West Virginia, man. Garrett Green, Neil Brown. Dude, that place, Pat McAfee's there on Friday. That place will be rocking at noon on Saturday. West Virginia's going to win that game. It's going to be awesome. The Mountaineers, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick West Virginia to cover
Yeah. Oh, they'll cover.
because I really want to pick them to win. So if I'm not gonna pick them to win, I'll at least pick them to cover.
Julian Fleming, is that going to help Penn State with the deep ball?
I think so.
You hope so. If it does, week one, Penn State should win that game. But I think they're going to have some week one hiccups in this new offense.
And they're still gonna be able to run the ball though. They got Nick Singleton.
That's
And
it.
he's
Right?
still there. They're gonna, yeah. I mean, that's it. But he's still one of the best running backs in the Big Ten,
Yeah. No, I mean,
if not the best. I mean,
they'll be. No, I don't know about that. I like Judkins and Edwards a lot, and Henderson. He's it.
I would pick Singleton over Trayvon Henderson. No disrespect to Henderson, but I
Yeah,
would
his
take
injury issue
Singleton.
does worry me a little bit. I don't disagree with you there. But, no, Garrett Green's a real man. That's all I got for that one.
Now we got Miami and Florida. That's the game of the week. I am going with Miami. I feel so basic picking like all these favorites. But like I said earlier, Miami is just they've pushed all the chips in for this year, and you can't come out the gates and fall on your face against Florida. So
You can't, but I think that they do.
they definitely could. I think they got a break getting them at 3:30 and not at night.
But the thing
Not
is,
that
it's
not that
still
3:30 is still not that 3:30 is not like easy, but
no, but it's a desperate fan base. A desperate fan base.
a fan base that's still not like behind Billy Napier by any means.
No, but I bet that place is rocking.
Oh, for sure, it's Miami. They hate each other.
Yeah, yeah, cramping up over here. It's because I'm thinking about playing in the swamp at 3:30, man.
Yeah,
No, I think Florida wins that game. I think Nussmeier plays well. I think they have a DJ Lagway package in one.
wait, you said Nussmeier plays well?
Did I really?
Yeah, I think
Man.
Nussmeier plays well, but not in this
Yeah.
game.
When we get to that, I said Graham Mertz in my head. I don't know why it didn't come out. It's so funny. Mertz plays well. Lagway gets his own package. The kid they got from Arizona State. I mean, we saw it through us all did. They love Arizona State wide receivers out there at Florida. So, running back is where I'm a little concerned.
I mean,
Johnson being hurt.
I think he'll play though.
I thought he was going to be out for sure this week.
Not that I've seen, but I could be wrong. You could check me.
So no, I just thought I saw that, but now I'm not sure. They posted an update. Uh, who knows? It's a week by week thing with him right now.
I would say if they were playing, a couple years ago they played Utah. If it was Utah,
Yeah,
maybe not that he'll be ready. But since it's Miami,
he wouldn't say. Napier was asked about it, and he would not say. He just declined the question, which worries me a little bit. I don't think he's going to play. I mean, he had knee surgery at the 1st of August. It was just a scope. I've never had knee surgery, so I don't know how bad that is. But,
me neither.
yeah. But Napier would not. He declined to answer the question, which worries me. What do we got next?
Or maybe he's just trying to lead Miami away.
Maybe.
That's typically how it goes. I remember whenever I was at Liberty, they came for everybody's neck whenever some injury leaked to whoever we were playing. I can't remember who was hurt. I think it was, I'll come out and say it now. I leaked the information to whoever we were playing. Jonathan Bennett was actually not hurt, and he was going to play. I think that's what it was. I don't know.
I do remember that.
Hugh Freeze, come get me. Please don't. Pastor Freeze.
I'm not going to say that, but I want you to go back.
But yeah, I got Miami. They're all in on this year. I love Cam Ward.
Oh, yeah, Damian Martinez. Heck of a running back. They're good at running back. They're good at quarterback. They're good at receiver. Tight end.
That offense is
really good at tight end.
They're always going to be mostly, I don't want to say they're always going to be good at O-line, but, that's Mario's thing. So.
Oh, their offensive line will be fine.
Yeah. So
Florida's defensive line is where I do question them a little bit. I think their back seven's fine. I question them in the run game, though. So if that's okay enough, I think it's going to be a close game. Obviously, the spread does too, but give me the Gators at home. God, damn it.
I'll bleep it out for you.
Please.
All right, now we got Notre Dame, Texas A&M, which could also be game of the week, but it's Miami, Florida. That has to be.
It's where game day is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give me A&M.
Yeah, I got A&M too.
They got more
Even though I
experience.
picked Notre Dame to go 12-0 for whatever reason, I was just feeling different that day, I guess.
I mean, A&M's at home. You're gonna have a freshman left tackle, a new offense, new quarterback. Semi-new offense. It'll be similar for a lot of those guys, but yeah, I like A&M.
Yeah, and I like A&M too. They finally, I think most people think, have a competent head coach with Elko. That's all they've been missing. You don't need this absolute Grand Slam hire like Bama getting Saban or LSU getting Brian Kelly. Whether or not you think that's Grand Slam, but I think at the time that was a pretty Grand Slam hire. But yeah, I mean A&M at home, they finally have a good head coach. Quarterback is good. The defense will still be very good. But
yeah,
I mean that's just all I got to it.
I mean, if
biggest thing is they're literally just at home.
Yeah.
It's hard to win there, especially when they're good, which I think they will be.
Yeah. And they seem healthy. Minus Ruben. They seem healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Le'Veon, I've heard, had a decent camp. Good camp. So that'll be good. All right, the next one. The big one. Monday night.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
No, Sunday night.
Sorry. Got them backwards.
USC LSU in Vegas. The game that USC have been trying to get out of because they're soft. So you can start us off.
I'll take LSU. Just because I think their secondary is slightly better than USC's. I think their defense is slightly better than USC's. Not a whole lot, but I think it's just enough better to win that game by a couple scores, maybe 10. Not 10 scores, 10 points. Could win that game by 100. No, they'll win about 10. I think Nussmeier looks good. I think the run game's going to be fine at LSU. I know they talk like they're concerned. And then LSU has Harold Perkins. I don't think we need to talk much more about that.
And even though last year headed down here, he finally has a competent defensive coordinator.
And he's back in a natural position, too.
Yeah, last year they were like, hey, let's throw him in coverage. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I get why they did that, trying to help him with the NFL stuff, but man, just let him play. Just let him go kill somebody. Please.
That's literally all he wants to do.
That's all I want to see them do.
Yeah,
Take Miller Moss's helmet off.
and
Deplete
he
him.
and he probably will.
And that's nothing against Miller Moss. I just love violence in football. Legal assault.
They need to bring that back.
Amen.
But I got LSU too, covering. The spread is -4. LSU and USC are like so similar in where they're at right now. Obviously LSU didn't need to do a whole philosophy change like Lincoln Riley needed to do at USC, but both high flying offenses and terrible defenses, and they both realized that. They made excellent defensive coordinator moves. I like LSU's a little better. Nothing against USC's, but I think Blake Becker is just very good. He made Mizzou look good. So if you go make Mizzou look good and go to LSU and get the athletes they have and the pool they got to work with in recruiting,
Yeah, I mean, if you
that's
feel
a
better
great recipe to win.
yeah, if you feel better about what you're walking into at LSU than you do what you have at Mizzou after the defense they had last year, it
And
makes you
I just
feel
think
a
the
little
pool
bit
of
better.
players that LSU has right now, which defensively still isn't great, even though they do have Harold Perkins, it's still better than
What is
USC's.
that a coordinator thing? though? It's like Georgia Tech. They brought in Satani or whatever his last name is, something like that, and he made them better just based off schemes, like just putting people in places and blitzing at certain points. So if that's what Baker does, they'll be fine.
So now we got Boston College and Florida State. What you got?
I have Florida State. If this game was at Boston College, I would take Boston College. I think Castellanos is one heck of a quarterback.
He's literally their entire offense.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have a massive running back anymore. So,
And he still led them in rushing.
yeah, but I think FSU wins this game. The line's at what, 15.5?
Yep.
Yeah, I think they figure out a lot of things from last week. Boston College is good. They should make a bowl game, but I don't think that they win this one. Especially being at Florida State, it's interesting to see what that atmosphere is going to be Monday night.
Yeah. And I got Florida State too.
Yeah,
Just being at home, they're still a good team.
they're
They're still better than Boston
stuff up.
College. Yeah, I mean, just you cannot start. They're too good of a team to go 0-2.
And technically, it's realistically, if they lose this game, they could lose next week or in 2 weeks. They have a weird
I think it's 2
bye week,
weeks.
and I don't remember where it falls. It's either next week or after Memphis.
And also, I still think it's like reasonable to say that Boston College will take a step back offensively because of hiring Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, especially with how much Castellanos likes to run, or because I think
It's Castellanos.
yeah. So, yeah. I mean, if they run him, they'll stay in the game. If they just let him play ball, they'll be fine. But if they try to do anything else, it'll be interesting.
For
and they're not
sure.
at home in a red bandana game, so it's hard to pick them.
Yeah.
Great calls. Yeah, so that's it on those.
So now we're going to move on to our locks of the week, which is just, it's mostly betting, but also just stats and or betting. So I'm just going to start with mine, and it's 3 locks. I got Garrett Nussmeier 3 total touchdowns. I got Miami -2.5 against Florida. And I'm going to take the under in points, Illinois State versus Iowa, which is set at 40.5, which is so high because Iowa will not give up any points, and they're definitely not going to score 41.
McNamara's going to throw for 6 touchdowns, and then they're going to run for another.
If that happens, I will bet Iowa to win the national championship.
Did you see that 98% of money's on them to make the playoff?
Really?
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen in the Big
No, I'm
Ten.
about to go
Ditching
bet.
divisions?
Technically, your schedule's favorable. You go in the
Here and there.
championship game, lose by 3 scores, you could easily get that 12 seed. Right?
Yeah, you could.
especially if you sit your starters. Make sure you lose by a lot, so they're like, oh, they set their starters, they're not good. Yeah, it'd be interesting. So my locks, I got UNLV over Houston on the road. That line's grown to 2.5, 3 for Houston. But UNLV's good. I love Barry Odom's defensive philosophy, and I think Willie Fritz is a genius. Don't get me wrong. First year at Houston, though, right? So
Yep.
Barry Odom's been at UNLV. They're highly thought of in the Mountain West. So give me UNLV over Houston. I think Hawaii covers against UCLA. I don't think they showed a lot last week. I think Timmy Chang's hiding some stuff. I almost just want to pick him outright. But man, UCLA did lose a lot. But I'm just going to say they cover for now. I may bet on them to win. And then give me Jackson State outright versus Louisiana Monroe. New offense, a lot of new fresh faces at ULM. But it's Jackson State, and they're still really good at the FCS level. So I think that they can beat ULM. I know FPI doesn't think so, but give me Jackson State.
All right, and that will do it for this week. I hope all our listeners at home have a great weekend of just watching college football because it's the greatest sport in the world. Go make some bets on our locks because we're always right. So take our locks, make you some money, enjoy college football, and we'll see y'all next week.